Happy Tuesday and welcome to Falcon Focus. It's our 17th episode of this 2020-21 school year and our 5th episode here in semester number 2. We have a brand new home, at least this week, here in the lobby area of the John Book Fieldhouse in front of the lovely concession stand. My name is Matt Menzel, being joined by Thomas Melius, a senior on the men's tennis team, as we preview the 2021 men's tennis season. And coming up in segment number 2, we talk about acrobatics and tumbling with their head coach, Sarah Koenig. Thomas, thanks for your time here on this Tuesday. And the men's tennis team back in action this past Saturday. We'll talk about that a little bit as they faced North Central in Naperville, Illinois. But as we preview the 2021 campaign, you look at your roster. A couple of freshmen on the team with one sophomore, a couple of juniors, and 3 seniors for a total of 8 athletes. I guess in your opinion, you being one of those 3 seniors, do you look at this as a younger team, a more experienced team? Is it a blend of both?
I'd say it's definitely a lot more of an experienced team this year, with us having a lot more juniors and seniors. Last year we did lose 3 seniors, but we also have 3 seniors this year who are very experienced in Nolan, who's played 1 and 2 his whole career. Then we also have Cole, who's not the strongest in singles, but he's very solid in doubles, who can help us out. And then you have a guy like me who's just been around on the team for the past 5 years, who knows all the ins and outs, and who's really mentored these freshmen this year.
And that's why you're here. With the ins and outs, we can pick that brain. You know, we talk about, okay, this experienced bunch, only 8 players being on the team. I know it's still early in this season, but how close is this group, being that you only have 8 players, so you guys are around each other quite a bit, and there's, again, just a small number.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We love the small environment, though we'd hate to have like 20, 30 guys on the team. We all hang out with each other. I mean, we do dinners together. We do outside events, team bonding events. We're all very close.
We'll have you here, just adjust your mask
Oh,
slightly.
yeah.
There you go. Appreciate that. Now, you talked about Nolan Rademacher, the senior on the team, number 2 singles last year, number 1 singles so far to start this season. What have you seen from him? Now, obviously, you're playing sometimes at the same time, but I guess in practice, what does he bring to this team?
Yeah, he's definitely a great asset to our team. He's always working out, always hitting the gym. He's very solid from both the baseline and in doubles, so he's just a huge aspect to our team.
You look at a guy like Tim Peters, a junior, number 2 at singles. Last year, he was number 5, so he made a big jump up. He's a slinger guy like you.
Yes,
What do you
he
know
is.
about Tim Peters?
Yeah, he's actually one of my best friends. I roomed with him for 2 years, and so it's been amazing to see him grow from high school to the past 3 years, and he's a very solid player, and I hit with him all the time in the off season, and he's going to really help us out at 2 this year.
So you guys were Owls way back at Slinger High School. Did you have the inkling that he was going to eventually go the Concordia route like you did, or how did you find that out?
It definitely took some persuading. I definitely had to encourage him to come here because he originally wanted to go to MIAD because he's a graphic design major. But I'm like, dude, we got a pretty solid program here, and I found out about how we partner with MIAD. And so I'm like, you can come to school here while also going to MIAD. And so right now he's going to school both here and at MIAD.
Jeez. How about for you? Why Concordia for you?
I actually originally did a soccer program here when I was like 10 or so, and so I originally wanted to play soccer here growing up, but then starting in high school, I actually became more of a fan of tennis, loved the campus, loved how it was a good Christian school, and so met with Coach my junior year of high school, loved him, he was a great guy, and then I'm like, this is perfect for me.
We'll continue to talk more about, going from soccer to tennis. We'll talk about that transition just a little bit. But how about the newcomers? Only a couple of freshmen on this team. How have they fit in so far?
They've definitely improved a lot. They've both been putting in a lot of work into the weight room. I know one of the guys, Nathan, he worked out all over winter break. He's been working out twice a day here during the school year, and they're both getting really good.
You have Isaac Bruins, a newbie, your doubles partner this past weekend in Naperville, Illinois. How did that go? Obviously, forget result, but just, getting that continuity, trying to, figure out what he brings, what you bring. How did that work
It was
out?
honestly just a lot of fun. I mean, we knew coming in that they were going to be a very tough team.
Sure.
We knew we had pretty much nothing to lose, so we just kind of went out there, went as best we could, just having fun. And even though we lost 8-1, I mean, we both still had a good time. It was very competitive, and we had a good time.
We talked about this last week when we previewed women's tennis here on Falcon Focus, but how about from a double standpoint on the men's side? Is it kind of the same where you get to kind of play with other, players in practice and figure out what tag team, what doubles partner works well with who, or how do you go about figuring out who your partner is going to be?
I mean, on the men's side, I say we have a little bit more leeway. I mean, we can kind of play with whoever we want. I mean, we've all known each other for years now, so we kind of know at this point who we want to play with, except for when the freshmen come around. So we kind of dip our toes in with them to see how we go out with them. But for the most part, all our upperclassmen, we know who we want to play with.
How about for you? You got the opportunity to play singles and doubles in the opening weekend at North Central this past weekend, but do you prefer one or the other? Because I know in the past you've focused only on singles at times.
I'm definitely more of a singles player, but this is a team event, so I do have to help out in doubles. I am not the strongest in doubles, but I've been getting better throughout the years. But when it does coming down, I do prefer to play singles.
So how about for you? What do you feel the biggest challenges are playing doubles?
Ooh, doubles definitely probably the volleys and just myself, I'm not very good at doubles.
Okay.
And right now I'm dealing with a little bit of tennis elbow, so that's affecting me as well.
You've been with the program. You're one of the, as you put it, one of the elders, so to speak, with having been here 5 years now, going back to the 2016-17 season. So do you see yourself, I know you mentioned kind of the ins and outs of the program, do you look at yourself as being one of the leaders, being that again,
yes.
You've been here from 5 years ago?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I know even last year, too, when I was technically a senior on the team, I was injured last year, but I was always showing up to practice. Even when I was injured, I went to all the matches. I'm always supporting the guys. This year, too, I've been a huge mentor to both the freshmen. I'm really close with both of them, really trying to just help them out in any way that I can.
Was there any doubt in your mind that you would be back this school year, or did you have some hesitation as to whether or not you'd be coming back?
I mean, I knew I would originally be coming back as just a student.
Okay.
I had no idea I was going to be coming back as a athlete, though, because of obviously COVID and everything, and I'm kind of happy COVID did happen because it has allowed me the chance to come back for my 5th year.
Yeah, because if you look at your bio on CWFalcons.com, a little trickery in the wording. It says capped off his career as though it's over, but no, he's back. He is here, living proof.
Yep.
5th season now with the men's tennis team. Let's talk about that season opener briefly. Okay, Saturday loss against North Central 9-0, but a good fight from number 2 doubles, also a good fight from number 1 singles. I guess for you, coming back from injury as well, how nice was it to be back on the court competing against another school not named Concordia?
Oh, it was so amazing. We were all just out there having a good time. We knew that they were a tough team coming in, so we were expecting a challenge. And honestly, we want to win, but at the same time, we weren't really too upset that we lost because it felt so good to be out there again because we haven't played a match in almost a year now, so it was just good to be out there competing again.
Mentioned that you played at number 5 singles, also number 3 doubles. How about for you, getting the opportunity to be back out there just individually playing, but also with a doubles partner? But what did you like? What aspects of the game did you like from what you saw, what you were able to do on Saturday? What areas, in your opinion, you say, hey, I need to improve here?
Yeah, I know for me, my backhand was really working on Saturday. I had a really good backhand down the line. I had a really good serve. I was hitting my spots that I wanted to. My forehand was not as good as I would have liked. It was a little inconsistent at times, so that's something we're going to work on this week. Also, my depth perception with the ball just wasn't that good on Saturday in return, so that's also something we're working on this week in practice.
Let's go back to the start of your time with Concordia. So 2016-17, then 2017-18. When you look at, you had the opportunity to play in 2017-18, but in those 2 years, this was a Falcon men's tennis program that they were regular season conference champs, tournament champions, both of those seasons. I guess in your opinion, when you look back at those memories, what made those teams so dominant?
Just good leadership, good seniors on the team. I mean, I know one of the guys, CJ, he was a huge mentor to me when I was a sophomore on the team. And so that's why I've been trying to help out the younger guys, just trying to be that mentor, try to be that leader for them, and hopefully set up our program success in the next few years.
I'm going to test you. Do you know what happened on this day 3 years ago? We do our research on Falcon Focus. Do you know what? And this involves you. This is your life.
Did I play my first college match?
Not only did you play it, but you won it. You got your first ever win on this date.
Yeah, against Ripon.
No, against Lawrence.
Oh,
see, we tested your memory here.
Oh, man.
Were you there?
Yeah,
No,
I guess not.
That was 3 years ago, February 16th of 2018. I was going to ask you what you remember about it, but obviously you don't. But
I totally forgot.
No, but when you go back and look, do you remember your wins and losses? Do you kind of you pick up a win or you lose and you kind of move on? How do you approach it?
I definitely remember. Now that you brought it back, no, I remember that week vividly because we had Lawrence and then I think we played Ripon or UW Whitewater.
Okay.
And so I'm the kind of guy, if I win, I like to reflect on that, and then if I lose, I reflect on that and see what I can work on.
I was kidding, too. I know you were there, but that was
Yeah,
3 years
I
ago
know.
to the day against Lawrence. You got your first win. Let's go back to last year quickly. Okay, 2-1 in singles. That was in the fall of 2019, and we mentioned that you focused only on singles, no doubles. I guess we look back at that fall of 2019, COVID-19 hits.
Yep.
Okay, spring's canceled. You mentioned it, though. In your opinion, did you think that was it for college tennis for you? Were you moving on? Were you thinking elsewhere?
I'll be honest, I was very devastated when that news hit because I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Especially since I had just gotten done back from injury. Like, I had just gotten the news that day that I was officially 100% healthy, and we were just about to go on spring break 2 days later. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to get some matches in finally. I'm ready to go. And then I remember I was taking a test, and then I got done with the test, feeling good about the test. I get out of the room, and I get the text from our coach. Season is canceled, and that was very devastating.
So that comes right after you find out you got clearance to play again?
Yes, right after.
That's a tough week.
It was not a good week for us, that's for sure.
So how about for you then? During the COVID, I mean, it's not over yet, but I guess during this time away from college, away from competition at the collegiate level, did you get the opportunity to play more tennis? You maybe in the backyard, in the neighborhood, or were you kind of all together away from the game?
Honestly, I know right after the season ended, I took a few months off. I thought this because when we originally found out, there was no like fifth-year rule stuff.
Sure.
So like I didn't know if I was going to be playing again. So I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time hitting if I'm not going to be playing. And then once I got the news from my coach, oh hey, you're going to be able to play next year. I'm like, all right. And then that's when I really started to get down to work, hitting every day and doing what I could to help the team out.
So what's been your mindset coming into this now unique 2021 season? What's been your mindset? What's been your focus? What are you trying to accomplish now here in your fifth go-around?
Pretty much just anything I can do to help out the team. Obviously, our team goal this year is to win conference again. We got a very tough conference, though, with Illinois Tech being there. Edgewood's always very solid. MSOE. So we're trying to focus on winning conference, though, this year and going out with a bang.
Hey, Illinois Tech, a nice addition, and right there for the conference championship. A couple of years ago when there was a conference championship to play for, now again here in the spring. How about a match day? Okay, so let's go back to Saturday, for instance, and you know you're going to be in the lineup, number 3 doubles, number 5 singles. Do you have a match day routine? Is there a way that you go about your day in preparation for your matches?
Yeah, so I'm kind of weird about it, actually. I actually start the day off with eating some Skittles. It's something I've
the
done.
breakfast of champions.
Right there, yeah.
Tasting the rainbow.
Exactly. No, it's something I've always been doing since high school, and so I don't know why I do it. It's just I think I won that day, so it's just something always I do. And then I like to listen to my country music, so it really just helps me dial in, stay focused.
No, the real question, we got to do our journalistic background. Do you prefer the red bag of Skittles? Does it matter what color bag?
I definitely actually prefer sour Skittles.
Oh.
Yeah.
So 3 years ago to the day, when you won your match, you probably had Skittles.
Yes, I did, yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
So why tennis? You mentioned soccer at one point here. That's one of your earliest memories of being on this campus way back when. How did you get involved in tennis? Why tennis? What do you love about tennis?
I actually found out my mom played in college. Apparently she played D1. And so then one day I'm like, hey, Mom, do you mind if I try playing tennis? She's like, yeah, sure, no problem. This was in like 7th grade when I was doing like 4 sports back then. And so then I picked up a racket one day and I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun. And then I played it throughout all of high school, and I enjoyed tennis a lot more than I did in high school. Because high school I just pretty much sat on the bench in soccer. But tennis I got to play, I got the opportunity. And overall, I just love the team environment. I mean, all the guys here on the team are amazing people. We hang out all the time outside of practice, and it's just a good time.
Now, for you, too, outside of tennis, we'll talk briefly about the road ahead to wrap up this interview. But first, I want to talk about your major, which is sport and entertainment business. You know, it's still a relatively new major here, I guess, in the last decade or so. But I guess when you look at that major, what experiences have you gained from that? What do you hope to do with that major one day?
I'm honestly not 100% sure yet. I know I still got some time with the whole sports industry being shut down, though. That definitely has me concerned. I am looking to hopefully do something in tennis, maybe one day, or maybe something to do with some sort of charity work, but I'm not 100% sure yet.
Now let's go back to tennis and looking at the road ahead briefly. Okay, St. Scholastica is up next on the 26th of February. That will take place in Jackson, Wisconsin at 3 p.m. And then the looking way ahead. The conference opener on April 3rd against Marion. That's up in the Fond du Lac area. I guess for this team to have success to get back to that conference championship status, what needs to happen?
We definitely just need to continue to work hard in practice. Everyone needs to continue to stay motivated, have good energy and stuff. And we will hopefully have a number 3 singles player back, Logan Schneider, by then, because he is coming back from injury with an ankle injury. So as long as we continue to work hard, have positive energy in practice and good energy in the match, I think we should be able to come out with a win.
And just finally, I know you mentioned Illinois Tech already, but who are, in your opinion, some of the teams that you have to watch out for in the conference? Who are the teams to beat this year?
Definitely Illinois Tech. They're always our number 1 goal since they've joined the conference. They're a very solid team. Edgewood has caused us a few problems in the past. And then MSOE, too. They're a very tough team. Those guys, they're not the best talent-wise, but they're very smart on the court, so they know what they need to do. And so they've caused us a few problems in the past.
Well, Thomas, appreciate your time.
Thank
Best
you for
of luck
having
the
me.
rest of this season with that tennis elbow and all, and more victories coming your direction, more Skittles coming your direction. When we come back here on Falcon Focus, our attention turns to acrobatics and tumbling. We'll be joined by their head coach, Sarah Koenig. You're tuning in to Falcon Focus on CUWFalcons.com. Welcome back to Falcon Focus. Got to make sure that we disinfect the air and spray that and make sure my hands are clean as we welcome in our next guest here in segment number 2. We're here socially distanced. Masks are up as we preview the acrobatics and tumbling season. Back now for their 7th season and back for her 5th season at the helm. Sarah Koenig. Sarah, thanks a lot for your time. And it's an exciting time for the sport as you guys will be back in competition on Saturday. Originally expected to start the season against Adrian. That's been postponed. You will face Adrian coming up at least inside the John Book Fieldhouse on March 11th. Now it's 7 p.m., but still an opportunity for the athletes to go out there and perform. Fans here inside the John Book Fieldhouse. It's 11 a.m. on Saturday. I guess let's start there and what maybe fans can expect. What's still the plan for Saturday?
Great question. So we are still planning to run through a full meet format. Really, this is an opportunity for all of our new friends to get an opportunity to go through how a meet would run with warm-ups, all the timing, how we move on and off the mat, and kind of what our expectations are for meet day. So it's a really great opportunity for them to get their feet wet.
We'll break down the roster in a moment, and do note that, again, that's in the John Book Fieldhouse on Saturday at 11 a.m. We'll also have a live webcast on the Falcon Athletic Network on Saturday. But, okay, 2020. Okay, let's go back to the COVID shortened season that was. The team ended up finishing with a couple of victories and a couple of defeats, 2-0 inside the John Book Fieldhouse with wins over Georgetown College, also East Texas Baptist, and we'll mention why that's significant in a moment. But I guess when you look back, do you like the progress that you saw from your team from day one versus when the season was eventually canceled?
I do. I think they did a really good job about continuing to build on each meet, which is something that we really talk about when we start our competition season, is about how to improve a little bit in different areas each time. So it's not even about the score at the end. It's about what little kind of improvements we can make each time that we take the mat.
And one of the highlights came back on the 22nd of February against Davis and Elkins. The Falcons broke the school record in acro heat 3 at 9.55 points. The old mark was 9.45 set back in 2016. I guess, first of all, how exciting was that accomplishment?
It was a huge, exciting accomplishment for the whole team. I think it was something that we've really been pushing for. In the past, historically, we've always been really strong in our pyramid event, so it was really cool to watch them be able to kind of push the envelope and break a record in something that was a little bit different and outside of our comfort zone.
What's kind of neat, too, is when you look at the group that set that record, the Acro Heat 3 team, You had 3 sophomores and a junior. So, I mean, from a youth standpoint, it was a younger team too last year. But how encouraging or how exciting is it too to know that you have a lot of those athletes back in place for another year?
It was really exciting. I think it was a really, again, great opportunity for them to see what they were capable of, and then also a great opportunity for them to really encourage some of our new friends that are taking the mat with us this season about just where they can be if they put in the work that we're looking at.
I bring up, the significance of that East Texas Baptist victory. That was on March 12th. It's significant because that was the final time that a Concordia athletic event took place on the Mequon campus. News would come a day later or so that everything else was wiped off the calendar. But when you look at that particular meet, and it seemed like the Falcons saved the best for last, season's best performances across the board in just about every event, just about every heat. Again, when you look at the positives, to end on a high note like that, what was your thought process or the mindset going into the offseason then?
I mean, one of the really great things about that meet was that the team wasn't supposed to know about our season getting canceled until
Sure.
after the meet, unfortunately. However, that news did come to them before the meet started. So
You
I
guys
was
knew
really,
that.
yes. Ideally, we were hoping that it would hold off and so that they could get through the meet and not have that on their minds. But news did come to them. So we were really proud just overall about how they went out and really performed and gave it their all that last meet, knowing that that was going to be the end of our season. I think moving forward, that also gave them a really great jumping off point because they came back this fall hungry for more. They want to go. They are ready to go. They know what it's like to have their season cut short, so they're really taking that experience and making sure that they're really valuing every opportunity that they have here with us, that we get to be together, and even if it's just in a practice.
How tough was it for you leaving the John Book Fieldhouse that night? I know you put so much into this. I mean, so much heart and soul into coaching this team and promoting the sport itself. But again, leaving here that night knowing that was it, at least for the immediate future.
It was really hard, I think. I mean, the word uncertain times has been tossed around a lot, but that's really what we were experiencing. We weren't sure what it was going to look like. Like you said, that night, it was before, the rest of the campus kind of ended up shutting down and students went home. So we weren't sure what we were looking at coming back, if we were going to be able to potentially get in another meet or if we were even going to see each other again. And I think that was a really hard kind of goodbye for us when that all happened, was that it wasn't really a finite ending. It was kind of this awkward in-between type that we had to deal with.
So how was the acrobatics and tumbling off-season different from years past?
It was a little bit different because we weren't able to get our athletes into the gym like we normally would. So a lot of times over the summer, we asked them to go back to their old gyms or, get in some drills in places that they're comfortable with mats and different things that kind of have that safety aspect to them. But because so many things were shut down, a lot of our athletes didn't have access to that. So that really shifted our focus from really working on their skills that would be utilized when they came back to really focusing on conditioning and going back to those, what we would call basic elements that we really wanted to perfect so that when they came in, we had a strong baseline.
I know with other sports, certainly they'd say yes. How about for your sport? Was recruiting greatly impacted?
It was. I think we are very fortunate because social media has really stepped up for us this year. I know just in our own experience with our program, having recruits that have social media has been a really great opportunity for us to connect with them because there aren't meets running and there aren't things, or if there are, there's not any in-person contact from outside visitors, that it's been really hard because we haven't quite been able to do the travel that we normally would.
I know I've asked you this question in the past, but I think it's an interesting topic because you look at the sport, and there is no acrobatics and tumbling at the high school level. So, again, what type of athletes are you looking for? How do you know a certain athlete would fit into this environment?
I think one of the biggest things that we look for is athletes that are willing to try new things because, like you said, a lot of athletes aren't coming up having done acrobatics and tumbling. There are some clubs now across the nation that are starting to hold youth programs, so that's really exciting to watch them. Hopefully that'll become more of a funneling system for our recruiting. But right now, really, when we're looking at athletes, it's about athletes that are coachable, who want to try new things, who are strong and confident in what they do know as a skill set. Most of the time we are recruiting from either a gymnastics discipline or a cheerleading discipline, but we have had athletes join our programs from all sorts of different sports, and that's something that's really unique and we're really proud of.
You look at this 2021 roster, too, some great numbers in and around the program with 11 freshmen, 5 sophomores, 3 juniors, 3 seniors, a roster of at least 22. How's the competition been in practice?
It's been really healthy. I think it's something new for the program. Like you said, it's been a while since we've had a roster this big, and we're looking to continue to expand that in the next years coming. But really, it's been a great opportunity for our upperclassmen to take the underclassmen under their wing and kind of show them the ropes, but also to feed that healthy competitive fire that we want. We want them to fight for their spots. We don't want it to be something that is felt like it's given to them. We want them to have that, accomplishment to when they get to take the mat and compete in an element.
So how do you determine, okay, this athlete's going to be in this event, that athlete's going to be in this event? Is it something you decide? Is it something they, I don't want to say volunteer, but maybe they say, hey, I want to try this? I mean, how do you go about figuring out who's going to be paired with who?
Really, it comes down to myself and my coaching staff.
Okay.
So my assistant coach, Jordan Island, has been a great asset to us this year, being able to help us she knows the team. She was a graduate. She trained underneath me. So having that as a second pair of eyes has been really helpful this year. But when it comes down to it, it's really up to coaches who takes the mat. So there's different strengths. We want to highlight each individual athlete's strength. We don't want to put them in a position where they feel maybe uncomfortable in the sense that they don't feel as confident in something. But we want to make sure that we give everybody that competitive opportunity. So we really do try to spread the wealth. If there is another athlete who, for instance, sees something and they want to try it, we're never going to say no to that. But at the end of the day, they know that when the coaches decide who goes on the mat and who's competing in what, that's going to be the best for the team.
And I know this might be a tough question to answer at this point because what happens in practice may not necessarily translate into an actual meet or vice versa. But what do you feel, I guess, right now going in? What do you think the strengths, maybe even the event, what might be the strengths of this team? What question marks do you still have?
It's a great question. Each year it changes, obviously, because we have new people coming in and we don't know what skill sets we're getting. I'm really excited to say that this year toss is going to be a really strong event for us, and that hasn't been in the past. So I'm really excited for everybody to kind of see the different tosses that we're putting out onto the mat. Same thing with tumbling. That's also an area that we've really heavily recruited the past couple years because that's been a little bit of a weaker point for us. So that's another area that we've been really focusing on trying to build. So that's another, I think, event that people are going to be really taken back from. This year, as far as things that we're still really focusing in on, definitely our acro events. Because, like you said, we came off of that season high last year and that school record. That's something that we're really continuing to push for. But we also want to make sure that we're putting things on the mat that are going to hit and not taking a lot of risks that aren't necessary.
I'm going to put you on the spot. I don't mean to leave anybody out, but when you look at athletes that are back, are there certain athletes that you look at, experienced athletes, you go, I can't wait to see what she does next? Are there certain athletes or any names you want to throw out there that maybe athletes to watch here?
I think coming up, like you said, all of our freshmen, definitely look for them on the mat because they have stepped up this year more than I think any other class in the past, and I'm really proud of them for that. As far as athletes that are returning, all of our seniors, Maddie Schultz, Katie Marisola, and Lindsay Leonard have all really taken that leadership role, so I'm really excited for them to continue to push that program forward because they know what it takes and they know what to expect. So that's definitely some more people that I'd be looking for on the mat. But really, like I said, we offer everybody a competitive opportunity, and I think that people are going to be really surprised with some of the skills that we're putting out this year.
You bring up the freshmen, and I guess coming into a new sport in a lot of cases, what tends to be the biggest challenge or the biggest adjustment the freshmen have to make when being, exposed or introduced to acrobatics and tumbling?
I think it's just learning something new because they, again, come in from different backgrounds and having that opportunity to really work with a team member if they come from maybe a gymnastics background, that's a very individual sport. So now you're working with teams. That's a little bit different. If you're coming from a competitive cheerleading background, some of the grips that we use in our different acro elements is different than what they're used to. So everybody's really learning something. So I'm really excited when the team comes together and now it's like starting to click as we're getting into season and they're starting to see it, and that's such a cool experience for them to kind of understand what's going on, even though some of our freshmen still don't really understand what's going on.
See, I would think the biggest adjustment would be the 6 a.m. practices. I mean, that's got to be, getting used to having to get up extra early right before school, and, you get your workout in, you stretch, you go out there and you practice. But it is amazing going into a acrobatics and tumbling practice at 6 o'clock when you would think college students might look like zombies. It's the opposite inside the John Book Fieldhouse. There's a lot of energy, a lot of spirit. I mean, this is a group that just gets down to work.
It is, and they know what it takes. They know why we practice early in the morning. They know that way they can get it out of the way, and then they get to be students, and they understand what we always tell them is that if you can do it at 6 a.m., you can do it at 6 at night. You can do it whenever we ask you to. So let's start practicing that mental toughness now, and that's something they've really taken upon themselves. And it is hard for our freshmen that first year to get up that early, but upon return, they're like, I wouldn't have it any other way. I like being able to get up and get it out of the way, and then I don't have to think about it.
How about for you? Do you have like a early bedtime then because of the early practices? Do you have a lot of cups of coffee in the morning? How do you get yourself going?
I do. So, yes, I have an early bedtime. I'm starting to turn in, around 9 o'clock or so, which seems just ridiculously early, but that's when I have to kind of start putting myself to bed. As far as in the morning, I have to have the cup of coffee, always walking in with that. Some days are a little bit rougher than others, so it might end up being two, but definitely is what keeps me going in the morning. And coming in, and like you said, and having a team that's so excited to be there and really wants to truly be there makes my job so much easier.
You mentioned this is your 5th season now at the helm. Have you been pleased, I guess, overall when you look at the growth of this sport, of your program from year to year, and now on to season 5, where this is, headed and where it's at versus where this program was when you first came on campus?
I am. I think I've kind of gotten to the point where it really is feeling like it's my program. So I'm really being able to put my mark on it, make my expectations known. My athletes have been with me now for multiple years. I've graduated my first class of full seniors. So that's something I think that has really solidified exactly what we're looking for and has made it easier from year to year because more athletes understand kind of what my expectations are.
And how neat is it for you? You still see alumni involved. And I know like Jordan, your grad assistant or your assistant, she's an alum of the program. But to see so many of the alum come back for some of the meets, still involved, still know what's going on with this program, even though maybe they haven't competed in a couple of years. That's got to be cool to see.
It's fantastic. I love catching up with them. We'll have alumni that are local that'll ask if they can stop in at a practice, say hi to everybody. We've had some alumni come that have graduated like years and years past, so they don't even know any of the athletes on the program anymore, and they still want to come by and say hello. So it's really cool to have that support from alumni that have gone through the program and still truly love the sport and the program and want to support it.
What I love, too, is I think we're finally getting to that point where we can turn that corner with people asking, what is acrobatics and tumbling? I know there's still questions out there, and maybe the format is still relatively newer for it in some concepts, but we're finally getting to the point now where I think, people are understanding what this is all about, or at least are, accepting of whatever it's all about. But you look at the sport as a whole, and it seems like it's growing not just on this campus but elsewhere, and you're starting to see some more programs pop up.
We are. We have grown pretty rapidly. We've been very fortunate to continue expansion even in these kind of COVID times, as we call them. So we've been very fortunate in that regard, and we're just so excited to continue to offer these opportunities for female athletes to continue being athletes in college and offering them more opportunity to be competitive and seen as true collegiate athletes.
And, of course, you competed at a very high level, Oregon, your site, playing and competing for a national championship, but you have a gymnastics background. What do you remember about just getting involved in the sport? What is it about the sport that you love?
Oh, man. So I think I didn't even know acrobatics and tumbling was a thing when I went to the University of Oregon, so I actually ended up walking onto their program. But I had no idea what I was getting into. I just knew that it was something that was kind of like gymnastics and something that I wanted to continue being an athlete and something that I thought that my skill set might be able to translate into. And I had no idea what I was in for, like I said. So I think one of the biggest things I can say about my experience is that being able to have that experience and share that with recruits and my team has been something that I've been very blessed with. But I mean, as far as, kind of what the program is looking for, that's fed my experiences and continued to kind of influence my coaching style.
Did you have a favorite event to compete in?
Man, I think probably like pyramid event, I think was something that I really enjoyed. I can say I was not the best toss event person. So that was something that I struggled with a little bit, but being around so many fantastic female athletes, it was really awesome to be able to learn from them as well.
So from an athlete to a coach, your favorite part about coaching the sport?
I think just sharing my passion for the sport with my athletes and watching them continue to grow and being able to foster an environment where they're able to learn and make mistakes, but it's a safe environment where they can make those mistakes and we can work through it and learn about it, and just kind of teaching our athletes all of the things, all the life skills that are outside of the sport, like communication and time management. I think that is probably the biggest thing that I can take away, is just being able to watch them grow as humans.
And what's neat is you're one of the few sports that can say, okay, yeah, you're still obviously impacted a little bit by the COVID-19 pandemic, but the fact of the matter is, schedule-wise, you're pretty much right on target to where you were, say, last year and the year before and so on, and you will get things officially started, okay? You're competing at least in front of a crowd. The Falcons will be out performing on Saturday at 11 a.m., but competing against Trine for the first time coming up on March 7th, a team that will also be coming here on April 10th. And then we mentioned the first home date coming up on March 11th against Adrian at 7 p.m. I guess when you just look at the schedule ahead, you play Trine twice, you have Adrian twice, you have Georgetown College again here this season. Just your thoughts on the way schedule could pan out here this season.
I mean, are you talking about as far as like wins and losses? Or are we talking just kind of what we're looking for?
Exactly, in what you're hoping to get out of these meets.
I think the biggest thing is Adrian is always a really close competition for us. So that's something that we always really are neck and neck with them. So something we're continuing to push for. We want to make sure that we are, not taking them seriously when we come against them, because they are a serious threat to us. We're so excited to compete against Trine this year. Like you said, it's a new program, their first year. So we're really excited to see what they put out onto the mat, but definitely not letting our guard down. I know their coach. She was a very successful athlete, so I'm really excited to see what she's doing with her program. And I think they're going to put out some really clean elements that we're going to have to really fight for some of those tenths against them with. As far as Georgetown College goes, another great coach. Really respect him, and I'm looking forward again to seeing kind of what they put out on the mat this year. Each year they've continued to get better and really close that gap with us. So again, not letting our guard down there at all.
And I guess to wrap it all up, sum it all up again, what can fans expect to see whether they watch online, whether they're here in person on Saturday 11 o'clock when, again, acrobatics and tumbling is out performing here inside the John Book Fieldhouse?
Definitely, again, watching us put out what we've been working all season for and all practice for, all fall for, really getting the opportunity to see what the team does under some pressure, and that's something that we told them is we're looking at who can handle the pressure and a little bit of this, competitive atmosphere, who's going to perform well. And so I think it's a really great opportunity to come out, learn about the sport. You'll get to see a full meet in a way. You're not going to be able to see the other team, but we will run through all of our events and all of our heats. So it'll be very similar to a full meet.
Looking forward to it. Sarah, as always, thanks a lot for your time.
Great. Thank you so much.
Best of luck to acrobatics and tumbling this season. Thanks to Thomas Melius, our first guest, talking men's tennis. And we thank you for watching. We thank Sam Dunn behind the scenes. Matt Middle saying so long for now. Thanks for joining us. We'll do it again next week as long as it's safe to do so. It's Falcon Focus on CWFalcons.com.